Well, hello, my friends. Today we are going to discuss the fascinating area of near-death experiences. So let's talk about why I should be talking to you about this for a start. So, in my capacity as a nurse, where I was frontline for 13 years, I was fascinated with people who'd been clinically dead, i.e., their heart had stopped for over a minute, and we'd had to resuscitate them. And not only that, it fascinated me. I saw people in the dying stages quite frequently would perk up for a small period of time before they passed away. And I used to glean some fascinating insights from speaking to people when they'd gone through this thing, when they were virtually facing death. And some people made the mistake of thinking they'd made a complete recovery. But also, another reason why I want to address this today is because even during my business networking events that I used to run, I used to add carte blanche to those and let people talk about wherever the conversation went. And one of the most interesting sessions we had at a business networking event was when the subject of near-death experiences came up. And what I found is that most people have some experience either through directly or through a friend of having worked with near-death experiences. And it's something that we in the Western world don't talk about very much. And yet, this is a fascinating area. And also, as a PS, folks, I once answered a question on a site called Quora, and somebody said, has anyone had any direct experience of a near-death experience or the afterlife? Does it actually exist? And my answer for that question got me over 500,000 views and a couple of thousand upvotes. So that has been an interesting thing. It's definitely been the most viewed posts that I've ever given on any site and the most interactive with. I got more responses. So I know that this is a fascinating area. I know that in the West, we don't talk about this enough. And I know that once this touches you, once you see the impact that a near-death experience can have on someone, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. So there you go. I've worked with thousands of people that have had a near-death experience or have been close to the end of life. Let's start there. So I'm not just some rando that's talking about this because I think it's a good idea or I've heard that it might be something to talk about. I do have quite a wealth of experience in this area. And I can tell you for certain, when we used to resuscitate people and bring them back, most people remember nothing. Let's start there. But of those that did remember something, the common things that used to say is very peaceful. That was pretty much always apparent. Nobody I've ever met remembered anything other than peaceful, if they're remembering anything at all. No one remembers it as being traumatic. It's usually peaceful. Some people see a light or a tunnel. Some people experience floating. Some people meet a dead relative. And some people get a message, sometimes from the dead relative, to say your time isn't done on this planet yet. So these are the things that I used to see. Also, another interesting one, and this was a very rare one, but it happened, is somebody was floating in the room, looking at us from a different corner, witnessing their dead body and us interacting. And how do I know that? Well, they told us stuff that we were doing and talking about when they were clinically dead, when they were flatlined on a cardiac monitor. So for me, that was beyond all doubt. From somebody cynical, somebody medically trained, somebody that didn't believe in religion, afterlife, or reincarnation. I've come from a very cynical Western trained mindset, and I've had to be convinced by experiences that there is no other explanation than this happened. So there you go, folks. That was how I converted. I converted. For anyone that doesn't believe in near-death experiences or life after death, I was once one of you, folks. I was once one of you, very firmly on that bandwagon. And like most things in life, it's not until you work with people and start accumulating proof and case studies that you'll ever get changed. So let's talk about what are the commonalities with people that have been really close to death and come back. And it's not just there. I've heard stories of people that have been in car crashes, people that have had serious accidents, people that have had some experience of guardian angels, afterlife, messages from beyond. So many interesting stories. But there's a few things that underscore all of this, folks. All of it. Everyone that has had, or certainly everyone that I ever spoke to that's had a near-death experience, came back with a renewed appreciation of life. So that is a very common thing. Nothing beats a near-death experience to make you appreciate your life. And it's very easy to get lost on that road, folks. It's very easy to focus on we don't have, on poor me, on what a victim I am today, on why is all of this shit happening? Why are these people nasty? Why is the world like this? Why is it going mad? Why is all of these things happening? All these global wars. We get caught in this cycle of buying into media, buying into global events, buying into fear and negativity, which can impact our well-being and even our desire to want to go out and have fun and be ourselves and have some sort of purpose, have some sort of connection, start loving people and things. It's getting all too increasingly difficult to stay in the vibration of love, folks. In fact, to some of you probably watching this video, the vibration of love is an all too fleeting thing. And probably, if you're on this channel, saved for young kids and pets. Unfortunately, that's the way the world's gone, is that it's very difficult to stay in a love vibration right now because we're being pulled in towards fear all the time, pulled towards fear by global events, by news media, by social media, by people grabbing for our attention, by clickbait headlines that are sensationalizing pain, pain, destruction, criticism, bad things, people pissing them off. Click, 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 click. Most of the population have come very addicted to bad news, folks, and that is the truth. Nothing like a near-death experience brings you back or brings people back and makes them appreciate what they actually have. And in some cases, what they need to do with the rest of their life or what they need to do immediately with their life now that's different, that's more positive, that's more focused on what they want. And in the response that I gave about is there life after death, I finished it with a comment where it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's less relevant right now to you whether there's life after death, whether that than whether there's actually life here and now. Because some people, in fact, quite a lot of people that I witness, live like they're more dead than alive in this moment. I want you to think about that, folks. In this moment, there's a sliding scale. If I asked you for a number, how alive do you feel now? How connected, how energized, how motivated to want to go out and do what you came here to do, even if you don't know what you came here to do, or to go out and do something? How much love, how much motivation, how much connection, how much joy do you have in your life? And if that was a number between 0 and 100, what is it? What is it, folks? What is it? If it's less than 50, you're more dead than alive. You're already dying, folks, already dying. And that's the reality of dealing with people that have had near-death experiences. So many people live as though they're more dead than alive. And here's another interesting thing. I've seen on some threads people asking questions. Is it possible to know when you're going to die? If there was a way of finding out what day you were going to die, would you want that date? And if the answer to that question is yes, then I'm going to call you a muppet, an absolute muppet. The only reason that you would want that date is so that you could work out, oh, well, can I go on doing nothing or not achieving my purpose or not being motivated to do stuff for a bit longer before the end is nigh? And it's always in the back of your mind. It would be a horrendous thing, folks. For people that think that they want to know when they're going to die, it's horrendous. And here's a case study for that. Years ago, there was a Facebook app that told you when your death date was going to be. And I remember having friends that were stupid enough to open this, and it said about 6 months' time. And it fucked them up, folks. Seriously, fucked them up. Ironically and surprisingly, they made it beyond that, but they traumatized themselves needlessly with a pointless exercise. And if you're even curious to want to know, it tells me that you're not living in the moment right here and right now. The ultimate insurance in life is to live and do your bucket list early so that if you were to die today, you're done. You're dying with no regrets. Now, that's easier said than done. That's ultimately been my life in my 20s and 30s. When I was out traveling the world, I was out not being sensible. I was taking risks. I was having adventures. Now, yes, there's been a price to pay in my later years in that I'm not as set up as most people are. But here's something that I used to witness a lot in nursing. One of the highest mortality times in life, folks, is 6 months after retirement. 6 months after retirement. I used to counsel thousands of people who had spent their whole life working with this illusion of happy retirement, only to have a health crisis. The age of 65 is a nightmare in the UK, folks, and in the States. The 6 months after retirement are traumatic and far more likely to give you a health crisis than any other thing. And why is that, folks? Why does that happen? Because you might hate your job, you might even hate your life, but you've probably spent your life building your way up the little hierarchy at work and being a someone, being a someone. You might not love it, but you've got people working under you, you've got some sort of status. The day that you retire, you wake up the next morning with no sense of purpose, no real reason to get out of bed. Maybe you've been looking forward to a few beach trips. Maybe you had a plan. Maybe you've got a partner that you want to spend time with, but that is not many people, folks. Not many people. And I used to see a lot of death within the 6 months of retirement. And that is the reality of life. If you're thinking when I retire, I'll be happy then, that's lunacy. That is lunacy. Your health, your fitness, your mobility, your breathing, your ability to walk, your ability to go trekking on adventures massively, massively, massively reduces when you hit 65 for the average person, folks. So get out. What's on your bucket list? Ask yourself this question. If someone told you that you had 24 hours to live, what would be your priority for that 24 hours? Now, if you answer that question honestly, if you think somebody's actually launched a nuclear button and it's going to absolutely annihilate the country in 24 hours, and you can't get a flight because they're all blocked up now, all of the elites have got the planes, folks, you're fucked. What are you going to do with that 24 hours if you know this is it for certain? Now, seriously, if you answer that question honestly or even meditate on it, that could be a game changer. That could save your life, folks. Not in the way that's traditional, but in a way that is imperceptible to you right now. Imperceptible. If you took that exercise seriously, I've got 24 hours to live. What would I absolutely have to do? Now, here's something interesting. The ancient American or the Native American Indians, they know when they're going to die. They get a sense of it. And what they do, they sit round fire with their family and they give all of their worldly possessions away. And that's their way of cutting ties with this life and moving on. See, my grandmother, she knew when she was going to die, and she did exactly the same, sat us all down, told us this is it. So some people just know, folks. Some people are tapped in. Some people are attuned to this. And interestingly enough, when I read a book called The Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, it's by a chap called Sogyal Rinpoche. And he grew up in Tibet and then he went to study in America. And he said that the main difference between the East and the Western philosophies or religions or cultures is that in the East, they prepare for death from the moment that they're born. In the West, we don't even talk about death until it's on our doorstep. And my experiences as a nurse showed me this, that people aren't prepared. People haven't thought about it. People think they're immortal. Nobody wants to even talk about death until it's right there on our doorstep. Right there on our doorstep, folks. So, if you want to give yourself a near death experience or something that you might get from a near death experience, embrace this exercise. I've got 24 hours to live. What do I have to do? What would I like to do? And what am I definitely not going to do anymore? Fill in those three boxes, folks, and you'll be able to rapidly shift your life to a better vibration, to a better place, to a better set of priorities, to a better set of rules, a better set of rules that will make you feel better, to make you feel more energized, and to raise your vibration, folks. And a lot of it would be like what you wouldn't do. I wouldn't be dealing with these tossers. I wouldn't be dealing with that person. I wouldn't be doing that job. I wouldn't be entertaining that. And I certainly wouldn't be answering the phone to da 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 da. And I would want to speak to da 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 da. There you go. That is one of the single most powerful exercises that you'll ever do, folks. So whether you've had a near-death experience or not, you can embrace the energy and the benefits of those that have a near-death experience by doing that exercise. And not only that, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you to post. When I ask that question, especially if you're still here now, when I post that question, how alive do you feel between 0 and 100? What number did you put down? Think about that, folks. Think about that. And to let me know, I'd be very interested to get your comments on this subject, folks, because this is a fascinating area and this is a rabbit hole, if you choose to go down it, that could change your life. So, my mysterious friends, if you're still watching and you still want more of my little random insights, you want exercises on how to raise your vibration and feel better and energize yourself and join a community of like-minded people who will help you through your darkest hours and to give you a bit of fun and a bit more hope in your life, then subscribe, join the journey, folks. And if you want another little video of my little ramblings, there's video there. So, folks, however way you got out of this, go and enjoy your life. Go and complete your bucket list and go and do something that absolutely cannot wait, as though you've only got 24 hours to live. And you will feel better.